guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jessica and I am your host on this channel, Jess Signatures. In today's video, I'll be showing you how I made this beautiful pleated wrap top. Yes, it's a wrap top. I know you're surprised, but it is a wrap top and it has pleating around the shoulders and also a pleated balloon sleeve. If you ask me what I would do differently on this recreation, like the recreation of this particular piece, I would say it's the sleeve. I would add more volume to the sleeve as we go along through the pattern and the cutting of the sleeve. You see what I mean. Next time, if I'm going to be recreating this particular piece, I'm going to add more volume to the sleeve of this top. Otherwise, there's nothing I'll change from the recreation of this top. So guys, if you want to see how I recreated this top, keep on watching. And I'll be making a matching bottom for it. So if you want to see that video, stay tuned to my channel. And how do you do that? Subscribe to my channel and turn up your post notification bell. Also, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up so that when YouTube will be able to recommend the video to other viewers. To all of my returning subscribers, I want to say thank you, and welcome back. Keep on watching, and don't worry, very soon we're gonna be having a whole lot of fun together, like giveaways. All right guys, without further ado, let's get into today's tutorial. So guys, the first thing to do is to get your basic bodice measurement, the way you'd usually do for any basic bodice that you're working with. Now I have a tutorial on my channel for basic bodice, so I will not be going into details how I made this. If you want to see how I make my basic bodice pattern or basic bodice block, you can check my description box. I'm going to link it in the description box below. I have a detailed tutorial on how I did that, so I'll not be going into that. Now I just want to use this medium to say thank you once again to all of my returning subscribers. I love you all, and to all of you that are new, please make sure to subscribe, like and share. So guys, let's continue with the tutorial for today. Normally we do half scale measurements when we're working, but because this is a wrap top and I want it as easy as possible for beginners, I will not be doing a half scale measurement. What do I mean by a half scale measurement or pattern? That is, you can see that this pattern I'm using is folded into two. If it was half scale, it would just be one. As we go further, I will explain more. So you just take your normal measurements that you take for your basic bodies, whatever length you want the top to be, you take it down to that length, and then you cut out the pattern. And yeah, I'll be using this particular pattern to cut the back. Now I just measured to see if my pattern will be enough, and then I just added to the length. And for the back, I'm using a half scale measurement because the back is not going to be wrapped. We're going to cut it on fold. There will be no zipper at the back of the top. And like I said earlier, as you go forward or as you go further, you would understand more. So after getting your back measurement or back pattern rather, you label it appropriately for storage, so you'll be able to keep it. But if it's for a client and you're not keeping it, maybe if you're not keeping it, you don't need to label it, or you can just dispose of it. Then I'm indicating my fold line to let you know that that part to be cut on fold, like I earlier stated. Now see the reason why we didn't do a half scale measurement, because it's a wrap dress. Now we've opened it to make it a full scale, that is a complete front block. Now I went up by 1.5 inches and I measured the 1.5 inches upwards, so that when you wrap it, where your rope is going to be will be at that point. Now you connect from your neckline the previous neck design you had. So you connect from your neck width down to that 1.5 inches. You can determine how low or how wide or how high you want it to be. So if you want to show cleavages and all, you make it lower. If you want it covered up, you make it higher. So I think this one I did is just on the average. Now we have our front and back pieces, but for the front we are not done, because remember we have um pleats on the shoulder. So how do we get that pleat? You measure the remaining part of the shoulder that you have left, and then you divide it by 4. Now the division depends on you, depends on how many pleats you want to have on your shoulder line. So because I'll be having 3 pleats, I divided it by 4. So you can just check the measurement. If you have, let's say you took 4 inches initially and you have 4 inches left, if you divide it by 4, you have 2 inches each. So you have 1 inch each, 1 inch each. Then you just connect that line downwards, straight or slanted, whichever you want, and you label it 1 2 3 4 A B C D, depends on you. So you will not be able to, so you wouldn't mix up the patterns. Now you align them properly. What I do is I use the straight edge of my pattern to align it. So after aligning it properly, this method we're using is called the slash and spread method. For the beginners that don't know, it's called the slash and spread method. So I'm spreading it. Initially those lines are for the slash, so now we are spreading. I'm spreading by 3 inches each. That is, the distance between each panel is 3 inches. You can decide to do 2 inches if you do not want your pleat to be as big as mine. That is, you don't want enough volume around the shoulders, you can do 2 inches. But I think 3 inches is best for this kind of top, and also if you want to get the same results that I got from recreating this piece. So guys, you just continue till you get to the last panel and space it out by 3 inches. Add tape wherever you need to add tapes to secure your pattern, and then just trace it out, because of course you need a defined pattern. Now around the neckline, I'm measuring 2 inches for my facing. Yours might not be up to 2 inches, it might be 1 inch, might be 1.5 inch, but I just like to do 2 inches for the facing. Now what's the work of the facing? The facing is to clean up the edges. If you don't want it as crisp as mine, then you can use a bias strip to turn it inside out, or better still, you use a lining. But because I'm not lining this, that's why it's like this. You can see the back pattern ready and also the front pattern ready. So now for the top part, we have the front and back all done. You have cut 2 for the front panel, and then you cut 1 on fold for the back panel, or for the back piece rather. I keep saying panel. So that's that for the top. Now we're going to the sleeve. The first thing you do is draft a basic sleeve pattern. If you do not know how to draft a basic sleeve pattern, I have a detailed tutorial on how I made a basic sleeve. In fact, 2 different methods, so whichever works for you, it's fine. You can adopt this method on both sleeves. So you just draw your normal basic sleeve, and then you modify it to get this pleated sleeve. Now what we'll do is divide the measurements like we divided the shoulder of the top, and divide it equally, and then you slash. You measure your line and slash. What I just did here is 1 inch. I just took 1 inches and 1 inch because I wanted that volume. Now the volume is not just by the slashing. The volume is also added by your spreading. That is this stuff we're going to do on our pattern paper now. Now for the sleeve, I spread with 2 inches only. I spread with 2 inches for the sleeve. And that's why earlier I stated that if I'll change anything about this particular recreation, it's going to be the sleeve. Because if I had spread by 3 inches like I did for the top, it would have been fuller. It would have given me more volume. And yes, that reminds me, another thing I would have changed about this sleeve is to make it longer. But the reason why I just had to do 2 inches and this length of sleeve, which wasn't that bad, is because I didn't have enough fabric left, because that fabric was a leftover fabric from a previous work I did. So if you have enough fabric, you can go ahead and spread by 3 inches, and then make sure you're spreading accordingly, according to the numbering you did, 1 2 3 4 5, like that, so that your sleeve would form like a sleeve. You don't just arrange it anyhow, you make sure they align like it's supposed to. And then you add tapes wherever you need to add tapes as usual to secure the pattern or the pieces in place. Then you just trace it out, forming a sleeve head, and you cut it out. So guys, we're done with the pattern drafting for the front bodies, for the back bodies, and also for the sleeve. I indicated the fold line and what this pattern is with my grain line, so that if I'm keeping this, I'll be able to use it next time. You can see all of our pattern pieces ready. Remember to cut 2 pieces for the front part. You cut 1 piece on fold for the back, and 2 pieces on fold for the sleeve, because you have 2 arms. Now if you've gotten to this point and you have not yet subscribed to my channel, I don't know what you're waiting for. Please subscribe to my channel, like and share this video. Now you can see I already placed my patterns on my fabric, and then I cut. I added 1 inch allowance for my top because I wanted it a little bit longer. I didn't want to fold in the seam allowance and having it short, so I just gave it its own seam allowance. But the length is on you, it depends on what you want. Don't forget guys to like, share and subscribe. Here I'm just cutting out a facing for the back neckline. You know, we already have a facing, an inbuilt facing for the front. Now we're cutting a back facing. The width of the facing, it depends on you, but if you're lining this, you do not need a facing. If you're using a bias strip, you do not need a facing. But because I wanted that neat finish, that's why I'm using a facing, because I'm not lining it. So guys, the next thing to do is to mark, or notch rather, notch your facing line where you are supposed to turn it, that facing line. Another thing I didn't show here, please guys, notch the shoulder points where those your lines are, so it will be easy for you to pleat. You need to see the drama I was performing here, because I didn't notch it and I wanted it to align. Now the simplest thing I would have done here is to bring back my pattern paper, place it on the front and notch it, but I don't know why I didn't do that. And that is why I am here for you, to make those mistakes so that you do not make that mistake. So if you have taken out your pattern at this point, please return it back on the front piece and mark out your lines, like notch out your lines. You can use a chalk to mark it out, you can use a scissors to notch it. So just make sure you're doing that, so this process will be so easy and seamless for you. You can see how I was struggling with it, which is not supposed to be so. So guys, if you do not want to struggle like I did, then you know what to do already. Now guys, after doing that, you sew the shoulder points together, and then you give it a good press, like a very good press, so the pleats will stay in place. Now you can see I already pressed in my facing. you can go ahead and use your hemming gum to glue it to the fabric so it will look seamless. You can see what we have here now. Next thing is to join the edge, the side seam together the way you would normally join any top or any dress that you're making. After joining it together, we'll go to the sleeve. Now for the sleeve, remember we have an elastic, so we need to create an elastic channel. First thing we'll do is close up the side seam, and then you fold in your seam allowance to create an elastic channel or an elastic casing, whichever you call it, leaving just half an inch or 1 inch allowance so that you'll be able to pass in your elastic band. Now your elastic will be the measurement of where your sleeve will be sitting. You can decide to reduce it so it will be a bit snug on you. Now after doing that, you attach a safety pin to one end of the elastic, and then you put it through the casing. Now before going far from the entrance point, secure that other end of the elastic with a with an office pin or a safety pin, whichever, and then you pass through with the safety pin all through the channel. Please, I know I'm babbling, but just look at what I'm doing and then you will get exactly the same result. So guys, after doing that, you sew your elastic band to secure it so it wouldn't come off or rip off, and then you close the casing, and that's it. You can see the outcome of the top. Don't worry, I'll be making a separate video for a matching skirt, and you would love this. Mwah.